The bell ringing, or the ringing of the gong before the class, is symbolic in the way that it's toned. The three first tones are for your body, speech, and mind to access your wisdom nature. The next 10 beats are the 10 levels of development in compassion and wisdom in this Bodhisattva tradition of Tibetan Buddhism. And the last three are the accomplishment of the realization that your body, speech, and mind is in this situation, in this world, to benefit limitless sentient beings and bring them to understand their true nature, and to understand the nature of the universe as being their own mind. Welcome to our Thursday night class, which we hold every week, 6 to 8 o'clock, and it is recorded and put on our website, quietdharma.org. I'm Lama Tashi, and tonight's class will be presented in the Tibetan shamanistic Lamaism tradition of Sutra and Tantric practices. To understand the nature of mind, it is necessary to reorganize the mind. To reorganize the mind means to redevelop it, something like putting in software into a computer that replaces faulty software. And all sentient beings need to do this. But in the human condition, it can be accomplished swiftly and easily because we have innate wisdom and compassion as our nature. So tonight's class is going to be all about that, with the training of how to meditate and how to contemplate this true nature. And in doing so, we'll do the practices tonight of the 5 elements using the earth element and Chenrezig, and also the Tonglen practice of taking and sending. And if we have time, I will give an empowerment for the Amitabha Buddha practice and mantra. So now we start with what is called refuge. And refuge is taking refuge with our own inner nature, which is free of judgment and drama, we call emotional involvement, and also altruistic compassion for limitless sentient beings that suffer because they don't understand who and what they are and how to be loving, kind, and considerate. So that's our refuge. So we'll start with the altruistic motivation. And I'll say it first in Sanskrit, then we'll start the refuge. Dadam Jova Namke Dadam Yampe Sanchem Damche Dudine Junte Jisi Chenchu Ningpo Dachi Kibardu. And in English, in order to attain enlightenment for ourselves and limitless sentient beings, our mother, we now all together take refuge and offer prostration. We go for refuge from all victorious Lamas. We go for refuge from all the Yidams, which are the deities gathered in our mandala practice. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those who conquered the mind and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all this supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. And we go for refuge to all the Dakas and Dakinis, who are the protectors and defenders of Dharma. All of these 6 possess the eye of transcending awareness. To the Buddha, Dharma, and this supreme assembly, we go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit gained from practicing the 6 perfections, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. And we chant that in Sanskrit. Tadam Jova, excuse me. Alden Lama Dampa Nama Chapsu Chio Yedam Chokor Gilaso Nama Chapsu Chio Sanye Chor Bende Nama Chapsu Chio Dambe Shur Nama Chapsu Chio Aute Gendu Nama Chapsu Chio Ao Kangyo Chokyam Same Shoye Sheki Shendam Dempa Nama Chapsu Chio Danje Chodam Choki Chodam Nam Chechu Bardu Dagi Chapsu Chio Dagi Chenso Chipe Sonam Yola Cancer Someday Junar So. Refuge and Bodhicitta. Refuge is the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha we call the Three Jewels. Together with the Tantric tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, the Lama and the Lama's symbols of deities and protectors. These six, they come together with the Bodhisattva practices of generosity, morality, ethics, and good wisdom, good manners, patience, perseverance, meditative concentration, and the development of insight into our true nature and the nature of the universe in harmony. Now, these six disciplines anybody could practice, and actually, most of these were taught by our mothers who wish for us to survive and grow into kind and considerate human beings and survive to benefit our environment and the beings that live in it. That said, we come to the basis of Tibetan Buddhism, the foundation, which is loving kindness. This one quality of the human condition is how animals and humans are able to survive, come into this world and survive. And loving kindness is the ultimate antidote to all negativity and all fundamentally dysfunctional drama. And on this planet we have infinite drama. And with infinite drama we have infinite suffering. And infinite suffering is the theme to infinite realms of sentient beings from heaven to hell and in between. When we talk about suffering, we're talking about conflict. And this conflict comes from two factors that we generate through this conditioned existence, or what some people call temporal existence. And conditioned existence is simply the judgmental habits that we have developed concerning ourselves, others, and our world, and the inability to connect to the true nature of our consciousness, which doesn't have any involvement with that, and how to use that. What is its practicality? So that's really the purpose of all of the teachings of Tibetan Buddhism. When we talk about the shamanistic tradition, it has two levels of mind training. The first, of course, is this altruistic motivation based on loving kindness and compassion. And the actual practice of that, using the six perfections, as I mentioned before, to obtain a level of maturity. And the ultimate state of maturity in the human condition in Sanskrit is the Buddha. or Buddha nature. And that word means ultimate maturity. And it is based on the ultimate innate nature of our consciousness. And so when we talk about this ultimate innate nature, everybody thinks it's something miraculous or something divine, supreme, and supernatural, when in fact it's very, very natural, but extraordinary. And to give you a little insight to that, I'm going to read from the Book of Perfect Clarity, which is a Tibetan Buddhist anthology of Mahamudra and Dzogchen practice. This particular excerpt is on page 169. It's called View and Meditation by Lama Jamkon Kongtrul. And Jamkon Kongtrul Rinpoche actually has reincarnated, is alive on the planet today, as a young monk. But his original incarnation was in the 18th century, and he was called Jamkon Kongtrul Lodro Taye Rinpoche. And what he did is he, in his time, brought all the factions, all the traditions of Tibetan Buddhists together in a way that made them all equal, so that they wouldn't have to be arguing and fighting over which one is best, which is what the religions of the world do. So here I'm reading this. Namo Guru, that means homage to the Lama. View and meditation practices can be explained in many ways, but sustaining the essence of your mind includes them all. Your mind won't be found outside or elsewhere. It's just your present thought. Don't chase after that thought. Just look into its essence, which simply means it came from nowhere and it ends up in nowhere or space. Therefore, there is no real duality or subject-object dichotomy, which simply means there's no such thing as a self or soul entity. It cannot be found. There's no observer, and there's nothing to be observed. This comes under the category of no thing, and that refers to our mind or consciousness. The second part of this is the nature of the mind, and everything is voidness or emptiness. None of it is concrete. It is cognizant, which simply means it's aware by itself. These two are not separate, but a unity. These two excerpts. It is voidness and it is cognizant or aware. By unity means in this state of mind there is no separation. There is nothing whatsoever in this state, yet everything is experienced. And since everything is experienced, one can simply recognize this state of awareness. With constant mindfulness, you sustain this recognition. That's the practice. Cultivating nothing but this, let your mind or your situation remain naturally just as it is. Don't try to change or add anything. The ultimate luminosity is the Dharmakaya. This simply means that the consciousness is all-pervasive and can think of anything, and it does. That's what cognizant means. This ultimate luminosity of the Dharmakaya is unfabricated, and it is called natural mind. If it is located and found to be practical, then it becomes extraordinary, which is actually two words: extraordinary. This is simply natural, pure awareness as it is in each and every moment throughout our existence. Though there are many Dharma words in Mahamudra and Dzogchen tradition, The root practice is included herein, in this teaching. If you search elsewhere for something better, such as Buddha being superior to this, you are chained by hope and fear. So give it up. Don't be religious. Devotion and gathering the accumulations of virtue and merit are the most important methods for a fast realization of who and what you really are. For completely realizing this short teaching, always concentrate on devotion to your outer Lama as your support and your inner Lama as practical. To the Lama Guru, Lord of all these pure vehicles and teachings, simply apply your body, speech, and mind to what is virtuous and appropriate. Om, Ah, Hum. Om is clarity, Ah is energy, and Hum is healing. Om for the body, Ah for the speech, and Hum for the mind. And they ended this with a Tibetan word that means something like wow, Mangalam.
Sarva Mangalam.
Sarva Mangalam. Yeah. So that's a short teaching from this very, very valuable book on the nature of your natural mind and how to apply that to your drama mind, what we call your monkey mind. Before we start our first meditation practice, I would like to show you a card that Abby gave me on my birthday. And of course, being intuitive, she just walked in and picked this up and gave it to me on my birthday. And it says, very, 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 very long, and once in a while, someone like you comes along. And then there's little prayer flags on the front. Ram, Lam, Bam, Yam, Mam. With a little cat with big eyeglasses. What is that?
Yeah.
That's me. I really like a cat. Meow. And this card gives whole meaning to the new word awesome. You're a complete, original, and totally amazing being. I am so glad you're in this world. This world needs you and your unceasing love. And then it's got Om Ah Hum on this side, and the prayer flag, it's one of those open kind, these little prayer flags strung across with mantra. Om Mani Baby Hum, Om Mani Baby Hum, Om Mani Baby Hum, which is what we're going to do tonight. So that's why I'm showing you this very cute card. Oh, and by the way, I've now accomplished 81 years on this planet. And it's been really fun. The essence of Tibetan Buddhism is to gain connection to the Dharma, which is the first step. And you have to have a propensity for that, a tendency. And that tendency comes from past life. It is impossible to connect with the Dharma in this life without having previously accomplished connection in past life. And yes, that limits it to the 8 billion human beings that are on the planet today, to maybe a few thousand or a few million, but in any case, it's available. But the basis of this is the outer Lama, who gives the oral transmission. Oral transmission means not dogmatic, non-sectarian, irreligious, and so forth. So I'm going to read you this prayer to the Lama that was designed by my root Lama, Kalu Rinpoche. And it goes like this. Homage to the Lama. You who lovingly care for all who have deep connection or karma and aspirations with you. You stir to the depths of this ocean of suffering that is called samsara, and are the great vehicle that carries us on the path of freedom and permanent happiness. Your kindness can never be repaid. Lama, please consider us. You stop the beginningless streams of karma, the disturbing emotions, and confusion. You turn us away from the path of cyclic existence by establishing the three disciplines of body, speech, and mind, and in this way unite our minds with the Dharma through your maturing and liberating instruction. Among even the supreme guides, you are sovereign. Lama, please consider us. The flames of your wisdom consume this jungle of ignorance and delusion. You directly reveal the true face of the Dharmakaya, the all-pervasive awareness of our true mind, and place us in this very life in the royal domain of non-dual union. All-pervading Lord, Master of all enlightened aspects, Lama, consider us. Noble Lama, sovereign of infinite mandalas, Noble Lama, source of all that is necessary, desired, or appropriate, we, from the depths of our hearts, supplicate you. Please grant your blessing so that I and others, our mothers of old, the 6 kinds of beings, be quickly liberated from this swamp of pain and misery that is samsara. May we be inseparable from the relinquishment and realization of the ocean of the accomplished Kagyu Master, and may our minds merge with yours. Om, Ah, Om. And then we have the 3 sounds, Pa, Po, and 3. And whenever you offer body, speech, and mind with these practices, all of the transmission comes through with the Om, Ah, and Hum. And then with actual practice, they are transformed into the 3 realms of Pa, Po, and 3. Pa is what we call the clarity. Po is the voidness. And Kri is the compassion. So clarity is understood as the voidness aspect or illusory nature of mind and everything. Then the Ha is the energy of everything, inside, outside. It's all just energy. And the Kri is that understanding and working with these 2 functions, we liberate ourselves with compassion and loving kindness. That's the Kri. And that's it. There's nothing to do, there's nothing to be, there's nothing to accomplish beyond that. So you can relax. It's Om, Ah, Om, Pa, Po, 3. And when you do specific practices like what we call the protective practices, that mantra becomes the offering of everything you are, together with every kind of wisdom quality, mixed together and offered to all the enlightened beings, however they represent themselves, and to all the 6 realms of beings. So there's actually 2 offerings. One is called the wisdom or light offering to the enlightened beings, lamas, deities, and protectors. And then the blood offering means all the beings who travel in forms and so forth through existences in the 6 realms. And the 6 realms are easy to explain. On every planet in the universe, there are available life forms of animals and humans. Where these animals and humans take birth is on these planets. And there's an infinite number of these planets. Therefore, There's an infinite number of animals and humans in our universe. Here we have infinite number of animals, but a limited number of humans on this planet. Then in space, this transmigration, we leave this form existence and we go into what we call the spirit world existence. And there are 4 categories. The highest is this arrogant categories of the gods and goddesses of various traditions. All of these are basically invented by the human mind. The second is the war and war guard realms of karma, of people believing that that's a way to peace and happiness, when in fact it's exactly the opposite. Then we have the deprived realms of spirits, of people who are extremely needy, greedy, self-inflicted, and so forth. And then we have the lower realm, together with that one, of demonic spirits, of those who were extremely harmful to themselves, to others, and to the environment. And so, whatever name you want to give these 6 realms of tradition, it's easy to call us our realm that of the animals and humans. It's cyclic because of our emotional involvement or predisposition of our judgmental mind with everything, with each other, with ourselves, with everything. That being the case, I'm going to, could I have that? Before we start our first practice, I want to read from this. This is a Dharma book, and it's got a Buddha on the front, the same Buddha that's on the shrine behind me, above my head. And this one is about Avalokiteshvara, which is this deity, which is the deity on the right side of this Buddha on the shrine. But this Avalokiteshvara to us is Chenrezig in Tibetan. And it is how to develop the vision or idea of selflessness so that it benefits limitless others. And it goes like this. This deity is visualized sitting on the spheres of the sun and moon, which light up our world, supported by a blossoming lotus, which is actually generated by the 5 elements, as is all of the plant life on our planet. He is called in India, in Sanskrit, Avalokiteshvara. He is the Bodhisattva of great compassion, and he wears silks and robes as indications of the elemental nature and jeweled ornaments of the Bodhisattva's 6 aspects of being. He is considered a celestial who continually returns to the world or planetary situation to bring others to this realm of insight we call enlightenment. His 2 hands held together in front like this holds a wish-fulfilling gem, which is a symbol of an enlightened mind's potential for benefiting others with great compassion. His other hand holds a crystal rosary of the mantra tradition, or what we call Tantra tradition, and the lotus of transcendent wisdom, which is the symbol of the Sutra tradition. At the heart of this universe or cosmos of compassion is the wisdom, excuse me, of the inseparability of all existence. Harm to others brings harms to oneself. Kindness to others brings forth kindness and generosity and induces wealth and abundance. Miserliness creates inner poverty and outer lack of fulfillment. The world reflects our level of consciousness. We are free from the bounds of greed and arrogance And in this way, one sees the realm as a realm of illusion. When one involves themselves with greed or aggression, then hope and fear arises. The deities of the Buddhist tradition transport us not to some alternate reality or universe, but into a deeper vision of this world just as it is, of which we are each and every one an inseparable part. These deities are not icons of hope or escape, but expressions of deepest potential and accomplishment. Avalokiteshvara, empathy and compassion, actually dwells in the hearts of all beings, but it is a latent energy and needs to be developed. And once developed, gives rise to all virtues and accomplishments. The Dalai Lama gave a teaching that said, religions are basically inventions of the human mind. Compassion is fundamental to our nature. To achieve it, we do not need to become religious. We do not need any ideology or dogma. All that is necessary for us is to bring forth our basic human qualities. The compassion expressed in the iconography of this deity, Chenrezig, or Avalokiteshvara, has become the foundation for Tibetan civilization and now the foundation of that in the world. The mantra most commonly intoned by the Tibetans of this deity in all their walks of light in Tibet was known as this deity as Chenrezig, was the mantra that they said in India, Om Mani Padme Hum. In the Sanskrit language, it is pronounced Om Mani Padme Hum. The mind of self-serving thoughts invokes the spirit of universal compassion, represented by this deity, Chenrezig, in its tantric form. Although mantras sometimes defy liberal interpretation, the Sanskrit syllables that invoke the energies of selfless compassion translate roughly as this jewel of compassion, together with the lotus of wisdom, dwells in each and every heart. And as the Dalai Lama stated, Avalokiteshvara is a symbol of compassion itself, an ideal quality which we must strive to cultivate to a limitless degree right now on this planet. And there's a subnote at the bottom. It says, Chenrezig, the most important of the bodhisattvas, as a practice, leads us to realize that everything that has happened in our lives, whether directly or indirectly, is the result of our thoughts and aspirations. We create our reality. Om Mani Padme Hum. And we'll do that practice this evening. Now, with this practice of mind training, it is necessary to start with simple discipline. And the basis of the simple discipline, of course, is loving kindness and compassion, but the purpose is to develop insight and emotional stability. And the insight practices actually bring us quickly to what we call a state of blissful awareness. But first, we must be able to focus the mind. And this is the same for all traditions that require meditation or discipline, martial arts, yoga, all types of educational programs, and so forth. So in Tibetan Buddhism, they designed the practices to, first of all, start with that which keeps us alive, which is that of breath or breathing. And in the process of breathing, we are actually bringing the 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and space, into our physical situation. And with this substance, with this support, then we can proceed. So we use the breath as the first meditation support because it's always with us and it's a spontaneous activity. Being mindful of it in the Tibetan tradition, they can combine this practice, simple practice of following the breath, the inhale and the exhale, to locate an energy center within the body to create a healing modality called the 5 elements healing practice, or the 5 elements prana yoga method. So sit with your back straight, and if you can't, lay down with your body straight. Some people can't sit. If sitting is uncomfortable, then standing is appropriate. Then hands in a comfortable position. If you're sitting, place them on the knees or in the lap. Slightly tilt your head forward. Mouth closed with the tongue resting against the palate. And then your eyes are focused to bring the energy of the elements, which is simply the space in front of you, and all the atoms and so forth that inhabit that space, as light into your eyes and activate the activity of the central lobe here and pass that energy through your body. So it's necessary for the eyes to be at least partially open. Do not stare at an object and do not bring your focus too close to your nose. Then bring your awareness, your focus to the breath. When you inhale, visualize the air coming in as white light, filling your lungs. Then the energy breath, which is called the absorption breath, is the activity of those elements in the air entering into your body, creating support for every cell in your body. And you visualize that energy passing through your body with this absorption breath as red light. Then these two together are exhaled out the nose as blue light to space. It's called the healing breath. In Hawaiian, it's the ha of aloha. But in our tradition, it is the ah of oma and hum. So in any case, inhale, white light, visualize filling the lungs. The absorption breath, red light energy passing through your entire body. If you can, even your hair and nails. These two together, exhaled out the nose with blue light to everyone throughout space. Through this simple practice, you will come to locate yourself in a state of peace and tranquility, calm, abiding. This becomes the basis for all of the transition of your consciousness to the ultimate realization of the true nature of your mind. Then once you have some sense of settling, becoming peaceful, and removing your involvement with worldly daily activity and so forth, then take your focus off the breath. And with your imagination, bring the three lights together and create a particle in the center of your chest, creating a bindu or tigli, what is called in Tibetan, or chakra, energy center. Using this particle, you are connecting to the infinite light of the totality of boundless space. That's the way the energy function of this universe actually exists. Then keeping focus and imagination together, seeing that particle, imagine it to grow into this small form of a clear light sphere. Then keep expanding this sphere until it creates one of the 5 elemental symbols. Tonight we're going to use the earth energy, which is simply a 6-sided yellow or gold sphere of light, labeled earth. And of course, the elements can't be separate, so they're all present. For healing purposes, we're symbolizing the earth element and all of its qualities. Being grounded and so forth. Then, having located that symbol in your heart chakra about the size of your thumbnail or smaller, visualize it to exit out the front of your body and up before your eyes, 2 feet in front, right where you started your practice on the breath. Then visualizing it or seeing it there, you imagine it to grow inside to a large room size that you can see your physical body just as you are in whatever position inside it, so that you're receiving all the healing energy of this psychic energy healing method directly into your form, into your body. Try to sit as still as possible. Then move to the next level of the practice, which is to share the energy with your world. To do that, you visualize it to increase in size so that it completely encloses the island or the area, town or city where you live. All of that inside. Keeping your focus and imagination together, expand this cube to it completely encloses Mother Earth, including her atmosphere. Expand the healing energy of this visualization until it completely encloses our solar system, which is what our solar system does for us. The next step expanded in size to completely enclose our spiral disc-shaped galaxy. And finally, move beyond the boundaries of your conceptual mind to completely merge with boundless space. At this point, you relax. Simply be present. No meditation. Relax in the unlimited availability and healing energy of the universal space. In this way, you start to adapt to the infinite capabilities of that state of being. Which is the nature of your natural mind. Then return from that dimension of being and again visualize the six-sided yellow cube to enclose our galaxy. Then reduce it in size to just enclosing our solar system. Smaller and smaller to just enclosing Mother Earth. And tinier to just enclosing an island town or area where you live, your neighborhood. Then shrink it to just enclosing your form. Then bring this symbol of Earth to its original small size in front of your eyes, arm's length in front. Using the symbol in this way, you are actually activating the pineal and pituitary glands and causing healing secretions to generate through every cell in your body. Then bring it to chest level and into your heart chakra. Visualizing it there, shrink it in size so it obtains the small sphere. And smaller, tinier and tinier until it becomes like an atom, a tiny particle of infinite energy connecting to the boundless fabric of space. Relax, no meditation. You have again entered into spatial awareness. The all-pervasive vehicle of your natural mind. Be present, moment to moment, present. Thoughts and perceptions do not attach. Do not grasp at them, let them flow. To end your session, simply bring your awareness to in front of your eyes and spread it throughout the area of your practice. Share it. And in Tibetan Buddhism, we have what we call the dedication of merit of whatever practice we do. Healing, meditation, yoga, all of that, making aspiration prayers, resting in timeless awareness, or Mahamudra, all of that for the benefit of limitless sentient beings. All of them thought of as our family. And take a break. In the practice of Tibetan Tantric yoga, meditation, whether it be Sutra, Tantra, or contemplating Mahamudra, the practice is designed to allow one to integrate. But more importantly, if you have others as you are practicing with, in our tradition, they are your, what are called Vajra brothers and sisters. And that applies to all the lamas or teachers and all the people that are accomplishing or practicing these in this tradition. So it is very important to keep the drama world at bay, and whether you're in seclusion or involved in meditation practice and yoga with others. And the purpose of all the practice, of course, is to deal with emotional conflict and transform it. Not necessarily block it or subjugate it, but actually take that energy and make it practically applied as useful in some way. And the easiest way to transform any emotion is to remove the subject-object dichotomy and simply look at the emotion as an energy. For instance, greed, which seems to be the theme of most of the Western world. Greed, which simply means never enough, or having a lack of, or feeling unfulfilled, insecure, actually producing states of anxiety and depression. But greed, being an emotional program, you simply look directly at that function of your consciousness without having an I or an object in the program. Now that takes practice. But when you do that, that's the effect of the Mahamudra or Dzogchen tradition of transforming. Because these emotional qualities have infinite potential. And they carry their own antidote. So what would happen is this feeling, this idea of insufficiency disappears. And you can do that with any emotional activity. For instance, desire. Again, like greed, unfulfillment. Not based on just judging something good. So then this dichotomy based on the judgment causes this desire or lust to arise. And if it becomes overpowering, which that's its potential, then this practice of removing the I and the object and simply looking at the energy itself, this takes practice. And the purpose, underlying purpose for doing that is its harmfulness and the pain and suffering that it causes, the drama. If you would like to go past these terms, pain and suffering, and just say drama. Well, drama is, in our society, drama is the news. Whether it be good or bad, it's all a drama program. So I'm explaining this on the ultimate level. But until you can acquire that kind of focus or gain realization of the ultimate accomplishment of these emotional tendencies as something more practical or something more useful, which is what we do in Tibetan Buddhism. We create Dharma centers, we create stupas, we create retreat centers, healing centers, that's what we have here in Quiet, and so forth, with opportunities for others not only to become healthier, but also to become more human, more humane, more mature, and in the process, attain happiness, and in some cases, lasting. The ultimate practice of this mind training program is the deity yogas of Tibetan Buddhism, which are called tantric yogas, and they fall into 5 categories. And when we use these 5 categories, it's again to transform the emotional disposition and the harmfulness of those judgment calls, those emotional tendencies towards ourselves, others, and the environment. And so that what the Tibetans have done is they map the emotional program of the human mind in the relative or ordinary state into these 5 categories. And in some cases, they take one of desire, lust, or attachment and add the category that I just mentioned, greed, as a 6th category. But when they do this, they have the realization of the antidote, which is embedded in that emotional category. So if we take the emotion, say, of anger, hatred, rage, abuse, harm, all of that, and all the thousands of various afflictions that go with that, and put it into one category, the antidote for that is oneness, a state of unity. And why is that? Is because that's its actual nature. Everybody has this tendency. And so if you bring that into a state of unity, that means that emotion cannot cause any longer separation, because there is no such thing as separation. Everything is totally integrated into you and your mind. The second category is jealousy, and that requires action. So that is the second category, together with this accomplishment. The third category is the lack of clarity or insight because of the judgment of thought. And thought is ongoing. It's a 24/7 function of the mind, and its nature is voidness. It doesn't exist out here, it exists, but we stay inside. But the thought is based on everything outside. So when we say clarity, we're talking about the illusoriness of the thought. Where does it come from? And where does it go? You can meditate and see that the thought comes out of nowhere. You can't find a basis for the thought. Then the thought actually arises in your consciousness. You can see it. That's your imagination. And for some, the imagination is way more powerful than others, and therefore more affliction. So if you look at a thought, like just in the same way as I mentioned, you look at an emotion by removing the subject and object dichotomy of thinking, you can purify that emotion. In the same way your thought comes out of nothing, goes to nothing, that means its basic is nothing. And that's a realization. That's the antidote to ignorance, delusion, and so forth. Stupidity, bewilderment, and thousands of other afflictions in this category. The fourth category is one of arrogance. You know, all these religions, including Buddhism, came from the human conception of something better. And they use the words supreme, divine, supernatural, which is an invented category. Because in this universe, there's no such state as that. The universe is totally natural, and there's no such thing as supernatural. And if you ask what makes or creates this universe, they want to say God or goddess, some divine being or state, many beings. The situation is the universe has no basis. It's an illusory energy program, and it has no beginning, middle, or end. Therefore, what creates it is your own consciousness. And the outer world is the combined consciousness of us, infinite sentient beings. And we share it. And can you make of it whatever you imagine? Well, in some cases you can't, but it's all just a natural function of your mind. So what is the antidote to pride, arrogance, which is the theme of all the heavenly realms invented through religions, and the activity of those religions, including Buddhism? And you can see that. All you have to do is turn on the news today and you can see how harmful that is. But the antidote is simply equanimity, which means everything is of one taste. In Tibetan, one taste means equal. No high, no low. And you apply that to everything that you are sensing. That's the antidote. Finally, we get to desire less than attachment, which is actually the cause of overpopulation. 8 billion humans on the planet. Now we're going to 10, unless something dynamic happens. But this category is simply lack of discerning awareness that this is all illusory, and a complete lack of discipline. Of what? Your mind. And that applies to what I mentioned before, the greed factor. So in any case, when we deal with this, we have these 5 categories. There are 5 called the 5 states of Buddha, or Dhyana Buddhas, Buddhas of light, which means the fulfillment of transforming all emotional conflicting activity to that of a mature sentient being, a mature human being. And then integrate that with the 5 elements of the entire world, which create everything out of energy. And these are the 5 basic energies. So when we do that, that's the Chenrezig practice. So how to do this is the same way we did the 5 elements and the 3 lights practice, is to place yourself in meditative posture so that these energies are fulfilling functions throughout your physical situation as well as your mental, or what we call spiritual. So hands on your knees or in your lap, back straight, head tilted, mouth closed, eyes allowing the light energy in front of you to enter from a space about 2 feet in front. Then you bring your focus to your breath. When you inhale, you visualize the air and the elements coming in as white light, and you hear the sound Om. With your imagination, the absorption breath is the red light energy coming through every cell in your body from those elements, and you hear the sound Ah. Then you bring these 2 together with your imagination as blue light out the nose as a healing function for your environment and the beings in it, and you hear the sound Hum. Now these 3 tantric sounds are based on 3 divisions of the tantric spheres that I just showed you. So inhale white light, hear Om. Absorption breath, red light through your body, hear the sound Ah. These 2 functioning together, exhaling out your nose as blue light to space. Hum. And you breathe like this with these imaginary sounds and color codes until you can settle, come into a place of calm abiding, peace and tranquility. In Tibetan, they use the word sunyata, Sanskrit, sunyata. And right away, just through this breathing technique of the three lights and the three Sanskrit seed syllables or sounds, you are accomplishing insight. Once you are in this state of peace, more or less disengaging from worldly mind activities, drama, then proceed by taking your focus off the breath and bring the three vibratory sounds and the three color codes, white, red, and blue, all together into a particle of energy in the center of your heart chakra. Everything starts and ends in the Tibetan tradition with the heart-mind accomplishment. This tiny particle of energy relates to the complete life support energy of boundless light throughout the fabric of limitless state. This becomes your basis for all your practice, so you focus on that particle and move into this dimension of being, our third dimensional world, by visualizing the particle going into a tiny sphere, small sphere of clear light. Then this three-dimensional sphere becomes a five-colored sphere about the size of your thumbnail in the heart chakra. Then the Om, Ah, and Hum bring your body, speech, and mind into that energy field of the heart and becomes an expression of offering to the root Lama or any Lama giving oral advice in this tradition. And he or she is visualized in front, and all of the traditional lamas and lineage lamas and all of their symbols of mind training are arranged either as a refuge tree in front or around you in space as your support, your outer support. And this light offering from your heart center to them is returned from their heart centers into yours, into the sound free, which is the discerning awareness that the infinite potential of your mind is simply loving kindness and compassion based on the illusory nature of everything. Once the free is vibrating in your heart, color it red and give it thickness. With this empowerment and that vibratory sound, it's called the creation sound of this mandala that you are going to entertain in your mind, you become the four-armed Chenrezig. And as I read to you before from the book, you have one hand holding a mala, symbolizing the tantric tradition of mantra and so forth, and the left hand holding the symbol of the lotus of the sutra or compassion tradition, and then two hands, palms touching in front of your heart, is the wish-fulfilling gem of your natural mind, like space. You are dressed in the silks and jewels of qualities of this Bodhisattva symbol. And you're sitting in full lotus on a moon disk, sun disk, and 8-petal lotus, and an empty mirror, which symbolizes space and light, is your background. Once you can see this colorfully and in 3D with your imagination, then do what you do with your mind, project it. And project it to the mother who created you out of the 5 elements, and her own loving compassion, loving kindness. Then project it to Father and the Father, all relatives, loved ones, friends, even your enemies, adversaries. Every human being and animal you have karma with this life. Pets. All become the symbol of this enlightened activity of your natural mind. Then extend it to the 6 or 8 billion humans on the planet today. Then all of the infinite number of animals in the ocean, on the land, on our planet. Then extend it to the infinite number of spirits inhabiting boundless space. In this way, you fill your mind with this symbology of loving kindness, compassion, power, and insight, which is the nature and qualities of this Bodhisattva symbol. You take your time with just this construction of the deity and its connection to the outer support, and then its projection to all limitless beings throughout space. And once your mind is fully contained with infinite beings as this symbol, then the heart mantra sounds inside the 5-colored sphere around the letter Hri. And that mantra is sounded with the syllables Om, Ma, Ni, Pad, Me, Hum. So you have 6 syllables. The Om is in front. Then clockwise, Ma, Ni, Pe in Tibetan instead of Pa, Me, Hum. And that mantra now is expressed with your speech. In this way, what you are visualizing, what you are connecting to, what you are projecting, and what you are saying are all in union, all in the same program. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Now the visualization is important as the mantra. Mantra by itself carries energy, but adding visualization, your speech, the sound of your voice, together with what you are visualizing, adds power. So then the power, the compassion of the mantra, and the energy of your practice has effect, infinite effect, inwardly and outwardly, because there's no separation between these two aspects of being. And you visualize the mantra with the Om in front. Then clockwise, Ma, Me, Te, Me, Hum. And as you sound the mantra, these letters facing outward start to rotate counterclockwise around the tree. The tree is stationary. And all of the light energy of that goes through your illusory body, because now the Chenrezig of light has replaced this idea of a fixed body, and emanates outward as healing energy to your environment and the beings around you in space. So you think that way, you visualize that way, you imagine this mandala, your creation, to be for limitless sentient beings, your mother. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Free. Center in the free. See it in blazing red, surrounded by the five-color sphere, and this mantra of 6 vibrations surrounding it. Each mantra has a different color of the Om Mani Padme Hum. It's a different color. The Om is yellow. The Ma is green. The Ni is blue, light blue. The K is white. The Me is red. And the Hum is dark blue or black. So if you can add this to your visualization, those energy codes are the antidotes to the 6 emotional categories of all judgment calls, all drama. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Three. Three is discerning awareness that your natural mind is infinitely more appropriate and has infinitely more potential than your monkey drama mind of the drama world. That's the free. That's full maturity as a human being. That's Buddhahood. That's the creation sound of this entire mandala applied to this entire universe, to the infinite beings that inhabit it. And the purpose is to bring each and every one to realize this as their own true heart nature of very effective loving kindness, compassion, with power and insight. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Om Now thinking from the first sound of this mantra, the Om, that all of the arrogance of all the religions and all the inventions of our mind of celestial realm is purified of that arrogance by yellow light or gold light from that vibratory sound in your heart together with the free, to that dimension of emotional disposition, purified, transformed, so that all of the arrogance removed, transformed into equanimity, equality, no high, no low, everyone, everything, same. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Free. Then Ma, all of the war god and goddess realms transformed with that affliction of harm as a way to peace. Fighting, quarreling, warring, all of that is transformed into the path of the Bodhisattva's accomplishment of body, speech, and mind, benefiting limitless sentient beings without any predisposition, without any judgment call, just peaceful. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Oh, that's green light from the Ma to that, all the beings in that category of existence, transformed into Bodhisattva. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Free. And the knee in the human condition is blue light to the neediness of all human beings that suffer on all levels, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. All that transformed into the healing energy of full realization that all of this is a total light show, illusory, and you are the illusory activity. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. And all of this illusoriness is based on the loving kindness, compassion, power, and insight of your own natural mind. And the mother principle is the theme. In the fourth mantra, K is for the animal world of their ignorance, stupidity, inability to accomplish anything beyond their natural existence as animals. And in that condition, white light emanates from that soul to all the worlds of the animals, and they all become realized humans. They all enter back into the human condition to become mature human beings, Buddha. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. Very good. Me is the red light from that soul to the realm of the deprived spirits, never fulfilled. They're called hungry ghosts or pretas in Tibetan culture. And all of that transformed into the antidote of compassion and loving kindness. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Hum. And then the dark blue light or black light of the home to the demonic spirits, of the abusive natures to harm self, others, and the environment. All of that transformed into a state of unity. Same loving kindness as the ultimate mother that created you. Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hum Kri. And let the energy of your body, speech, and mind in this mandala practice of this Chenrezig, which is the deity basis of all the 100 deities of the Tantric tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, and all the sutra practice, all of that as a state of mature and limitless potential to bring all beings to be free of pain and suffering, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And in this state of lasting happiness, now you bring your own mandala to fulfillment by imagining all those limitless beings as Chenrezig, all those illusory bodies blending into you from every direction, like rain into a lake. And as your mandala fades into voidness around you, you, the central figure, disappear into the 6 syllables of the mantra rotating in your heart chakra. Then one by one, the 6 syllables starting with the Om, Ma, Ni, Pe, Me, and Hum all disappear into the free, the state of discerning awareness without any judgment. Then the free and the 5-colored sphere blend with the energy, infinite energy of boundless light in space. No meditation. Rest in each moment as timeless. As thoughts arise, tendencies, and physical sensations, treat each one with that moment of timelessness as new. Like waves on a beach. Naturally arising from voidness or space, appearing as experiences and disappearing back to where they came from. By developing presence with these methods in the fulfillment stage of tantric practice, then post-meditationally they become useful for your worldly experiences of interaction with others in our environment. Post-meditationally with this practice, you would see all beings as the illusory body of Chenrezig, all sounds as the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, and all suffering purified with that mantra and that visualization, whether it be actual or imagined. And when you have the time, then you can, based on this practice of the 5 elements and the Chenrezig practice, you can do the Tibetan Tong Lin, which is the highest practice of the Bodhisattva, using the mind of the illusory nature to end the suffering of others or groups of others, or even the environment, by imagining whatever kind of suffering exists, individually or collectively, to be inhaled as black light into your heart chakra, and in that place disappear into voidness. And then with your imagination, the white light energy of loving kindness and compassion reinvents that individual, group, or situation to be totally healed on all levels: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And spiritual means emotionally, judgmentally. So if you have a friend who is suffering intensely from some disease or situation, relationship, whatever, inhale that as black light into your heart chakra with your breath. Disappear it. It's illusory. And then with your bodhisattva mind, visualize your white light with your exhale for that individual totally clear, healed, and mature. A Buddha, which we all are Buddhas. do that. I witnessed many animals getting hit, run over by cars. I immediately, oh, money, pay me home, oh, money, pay me home. Then also taking and sending the suffering of that black light into my heart. Exhale white light and see that animal okay. That's how powerful the imagination is in this world. This is a shared reality, and we affect it with how we think. How about war, famine, and disease? Watch the news, do taking and sending. In your mind, everything's okay. That's it. And then apply that infinite okay to infinite sentient being. That's it. Relax. Be at peace. Be happy. Om Mani Padme Om Mani Om Om Mani Om Mani Padme Om Mani Om Mani Padme 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 Om Mani Padme. One more time. Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Om Mani Padme Hurry. And as is the tradition, we dedicate this to the benefit of all living beings, our mothers, that they all attain maturity and lasting happiness and become bodhisattvas in future rebirth. and get out of this drama world of mind. Ewa di nurdu da, chagya champo drujerne, towa chinkin malu pa, e sala goparsho, sanjay kuso nimbai jamadam, choni negur nimbai jamadam, kendo miche nimbai jamaki, chita goa moma drupa sho. By this virtue, having realized all Buddha, and quickly establish all beings without a single exception in this state, and the blessing of the three bodies of the Buddha being and the blessing of the true teachings of the wishes of the Sangha being unwavering, may this and all dedication prayers be fulfilled. May all the lamas have long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity, and may all their wishes be fulfilled. May all beings be happy, free of suffering, established in bliss and equanimity. Maho. Tuchiche, mahalo, thank you.
Thank you, Duchiche.
Good night.